Hey, this is Nyako. Welcome to OB Studios. In today's video, I'll teach you how to change the background color of a container or a section using Motion Page and any page builder. So in this video, we're going to use Elementor as the page builder, but this same tutorial can work for so many other page builders. It can even work for Gutenberg, Bricks, Breezy. It can also work for Divi, Oxygen. Most of the page builders out there, this is going to work. So what the idea behind this is that, let's say you have a section. So this is a section of my website that I have. So let's say when people scroll to this very section, we start from here. I want the color of the section to fade into a different color. So that is the idea behind this. So for me to be able to achieve this, I would need one plugin, which is a plugin called Motion Page. So Motion Page is a GSAP JS plugin that gives you the ability to apply GSAP to your website using more like a GUI form of interface. It looks more like After Effects. So it gives you that it gives you that capability. So you can go to their website and then you can purchase it if you want to use it. It doesn't just do what it does, so many other things. I can scroll. So all the animation that you see here, the fade in, the drop, all of these stuff, you can use Motion Page to do it. As you see, these are the pricing. So if you ever want to buy one, you can buy one from their website, but you need this plugin to do it. All right. But apart from the plugin, you need also either Gutenberg or a page builder to also achieve, to create your website and after that achieve the design. All right. So let's say I have this page created and I want this section to change to a different color. First thing I'm going to do is to apply a class to the section that I want. So I'm going to name this BG1 and then so that's just the name for the container. But click on the container again, make sure it's selected. And then on Elementor, when you click on the container, navigate to the advanced section and then look for the CSS class and then give this a class of BG-1. All right. So after giving this a class, we're going to save that. Then we're going to navigate back to our back end or the dashboard for Elementor. Sorry, the dashboard for WordPress. So we go back to our dashboard. All right. So now we have finished designing the page and giving it the class that we want. The next thing is to head into Motion Page. So when you have installed Motion Page, one thing that you need to do is to make sure that your website has a home page already set up. Like when you go to settings and you go to reading, make sure that you have a home page set up or else you're going to run into an error. You won't be able to use Motion Page if your website doesn't have a home page already. Like if you don't have like a static page that has a home page included in it. So if you get that out of the way, the next thing to do is to click on Motion Page. For first timers, you might be prompted to add your code. But since I already added my code, the next thing for me to do is to click on Create a New Timeline. So after doing that, you're going to see an interface like this. The page that we want to work on is not this. So what you want to do is to where you see, you're going to see your home page name. So your home page name will be the first thing that you're going to see. Just click on here and then find the page that you want. Mine is called BG color. So Motion Page has now loaded that page for me. This random numbers is a random name for your timeline. So your timeline is where your animation sits. So I'm going to give this a more reasonable name. Change BG onScroll. All right. So that I've given my timeline a name. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to come to where our trigger is. What do we want to do? Do we want the background to change when the page loads? Let's say when you load your website, you want the entire background to change. you can do that. But that is not what we want to do. What we want to do is when we scroll to that very section, we want the background to change. So I'm going to click on scroll trigger. All right. So now I've clicked on scroll trigger. The next thing that I'm going to do is to lock my animation to my scroll. Why do we do this? We do this because when we scroll, we want the animation to be in effect. We don't want the animation to just load when we get to this section, because that one can also happen. Let's say you just get to the section and the animation starts working. What we want to do is that when we are scrolling, that is when we want the animation to work. We just don't want the animation to just load when we get to the section. So after clicking on lock to scroll, we want to come down here. Here it tells you that how do you want the animation to work? Do you want it when everything is in, when your animation enters the scroll? When does your animation enter the scroll? You see where they have the start viewport. So when the animation enters here, that is when the color for this background is going to change. So we have chosen enter scroller. The next thing that you can also do is click on fully visible. When you click on fully visible, what happens is that the animation will only work when you have scrolled all the way to the side. When the section is fully visible. We don't want that. Down over here, they also have when the timeline ends. So when do you want this timeline to end? When it says timeline, when do you want the animation to end? So we're going to say that we want the animation to end when it is fully invisible. That is when we scroll all the way past this and then it gets out of frame, when you don't see it at all. That is one way that you can do it. Now, the next thing we can, what we can also say is that we want the animation to stop when we are scrolling, when it is leaving the scroller. That is when it bypasses this viewport, this red line over here. That's what I'm going to choose. So after that, you have scroller and base. So these red line and green line tells you where you are starting your viewport and when your viewport is ending. You can make this 100 so that it gets all the way to the bottom, and then you can also make this 0 so that it gets all the way to the top, which is really not what I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to give this 15 and then give this an 85, which is reasonable enough. The next thing to do is to select what section that you want the animation to be applied to. We already gave our container or our section or whichever thing that you're using. Make sure that you've given it a class. So I'm going to click on this thing over here. It's called a selector. I'm going to click on here, and then I'm going to go to the container that I want the animation to affect. So it's this very container. I'm just going to click on it. When you click on it, it's going to show you all the classes that that container has. Most page builders already have predefined classes. So Elementor also has predefined classes called all of these stuff. But then we are not going to use that. As you can see, my class is not even showing over here. That is a problem with Elementor when it comes to page builders. When it comes to motion page. So what I can do is that I can just add the class here by myself by typing so remember, when you want to add a class, you have to add the period sign. So the period sign and then bg-1. All right. So I have added my class. Now I'm going to hover on this class, and then it's going to show you. Oh, sorry. So this is where we wanted to do. So I mean, I selected the wrong one. So this was the class. I'm just going to remove it, and I'm going to show you again. So click on this selector, and then click on this, and it's going to show you the class that we gave it. I'm just going to choose that. So that is one way of doing it. You can just type in the class if you want. That is, if your class is not showing, you can just type it in by yourself, and it's going to show it later on, just like you saw. So afterwards, we have selected our class. Now we're going to animate it. All right. So on the right hand side of the selector, you see there are two things. There is the from, and then there is the to. So what this from does is that you are telling the animation where it should start from. So let's say if we say that we want the animation to start from the color red. So the animation is going to start from the color red. So Let me scroll all the way. You see how the color is now red? And then when it starts scrolling in, it starts fading away to the old color that we have. But that is not what we want to do. What we want to do is that we want to keep our old color, which is this. And then we want to change that old color to something else when we scroll to that very section. So we want to change it to, let's say, a red. Let's just call it that. And I'm going to scroll all the way to the top. And then I'm going to scroll down. So as I enter into you see this start viewport, as I enter into it, you can see that the color is now changing. So it starts changing from a very light red and to a full-blown red color like this. And as I start scrolling, I start trying to end it, the animation will go away. So when I scroll all the way back again, the animation fades away. When I scroll back in, the animation comes back again. So that is how you are able to do that. You can even change. So this is our timeline. You can tell the animation how, what the ease is. Do you want to be fast? Do you want it to be elastic? Do you want it to bounce? Do you want it to be rough? You can choose rough, but definitely rough is not like something that is going to really help. So just leaving this on the default or leaving it on slow is probably the best way to do it with this animation. So this is how you are able to change the background color on Scroll by using Motion Page with any form of page builder. So if you have, as I said, if you have Divi or Oxygen, as long as you can give your container or your section or whatever name that you give to your building block, if you can give it a class, you will be able to animate it using Motion Page. So let's preview this and see how it looks. All right. So this is how it looks. Then when you scroll down, the color goes away like that. When you scroll in, the color start coming back in again. All right. Thank you for watching. This is OB Studios. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.